Are you ready for the best damn sports radio show on the planet? Man Hour Nation, rise up.
You don't want to be every time, no. I would like to personally welcome you to Man Hour After Dark. Say that thing. While I bring you the host, Mike, Buck, and Cone. You know who's coming to the stage. Sports talk than what you about to hear right here. I second that.
Go. You know that it's us when we talking about sports. Giving you facts on the field to the court. Tune in, we need the support. 1 hour too short, still listen some more. On all your stations, not dropping no music. Stripes like Adidas, but Nike just do it. Down 4 in the 4th, we go for the win. Michael 2 seconds, we taking it in. Buck, Mike, and Combs, you know what's going on. Man, now we're after dark, no LA, we the big spark. No 4th and inches, won't cut short. Got the best talking, it's all sports. Buzzing more than buzzer beaters. We coming live all through your speakers, go.
And welcome to the Man Hour. It is Sunday night. It's your boy, Brandon Combs. Beastie, BC, Brandon Combs, to be exact. The Beastie merch has dropped. Make sure you get on to manhourradio.com and check out all of our merch. All of our signature merch is starting to drop. The Beastie stuff looks sick. We've got the new hoodies are out there. The new joggers are out there. The joggers are actually really cool. They got the little like claw that wraps around the legs. The girls seem to love them. So those things are selling like hotcakes right now. But also get on there. Make sure you click the like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you become a member. Become a member of Man Hour Nation for as little as $2.99 a month. And get on us on YouTube.com. Yeah, get at us on YouTube.com. Don't get on. That's weird. Get at us on YouTube.com. And hit us up in the comment section. No Buck tonight. It's Sunday. There's no Tori tonight. There's no Wyatt tonight. It's your boy, Beastie Brandon Combs. And my right-hand man, the peanut butter to my jelly, Soup Boss. What is going on, brother?
Really, this is how I'm going to come back on here. We're going to do the getting on us thing and make you feel uncomfortable for you to come on. I was all ready to talk about how the mediums are gone in the Beastie shirts. I tried to get it. Not everyone is a 3XL, big boy. Some of us in the schmediums. And I got to sit here and hear you talking about people getting on us. I think I sent the link to all my kids who are under 18. This is how we started. Fantastic. Thank you.
It was a slip of the tongue. It was a slip of the tongue.
No, don't say slip of the tongue either.
Oh,
that's
God.
the wrong thing to say.
Oh, God.
All right,
God.
I'm done. Have
Look,
fun
there's
doing
no
this show by
mediums for
yourself.
Beastie stuff because look, it's Dad Bod Nation. I mean, it's
fat guy fall, baby.
It is
was hot girl summer. It's fat guy fall.
fat
now.
guy fall. Get yourself a big cuddly fat guy to keep you warm all winter long.
Oh man, I'm pumped to be back. I need to do something. I need to get away and kind of decompress and lock myself in the room. Living in Oklahoma, and being a Longhorns fan and a Patriots fan, I've had to listen to OU. I've had to listen to OSU, and now I'm going to have to listen to Dallas Cowboys fans. This area, how's the housing out there in Chicago? I'm pretty much ready to get the hell out of here.
Yeah. It is. I gotta tell you, I lived in New England for 15 years, and being a Chicago fan in New England, with all them championships you guys were winning throughout the time that I was there, between the Patriots, the Red Sox, the Celtics were winning at the time in the early 2000s, the Bruins, and I just, man, I could not get away from it. And the Cubs were terrible until about 2015. The Bulls have been terrible. The Blackhawks were bad until 2010. So
at least I wasn't direct crapping on you, like in the aspect of Chicago sucks. In fact, I remember when 2003. When the Cubs were in the NLDS, and we won't bring up the whole, and then the Sox were in the ALCS, and Aaron Boone threw, hit his home run, and everyone in New England, we wanted it. We wanted, who didn't want Chicago and Red Sox, and one of the curses is going to be broken, and then unfortunately we got the crap we got. So.
I mean, the one thing I did have was 2013, man, when the Hawks beat the Bruins for the Cup. Yeah, that was my time to shine in New England, man. I was able to talk so much crap. They had that game 6 where 2 goals in 13 seconds to win the Cup.
Yep.
So
I went to a family member of someone's house and in the middle of Kentucky. And I was like, great. I'm not going to worry about it. They're like, hey, you want to watch a hockey game? Heard you're a hockey fan? Yeah, for sure. And everything. Her family was from Chicago. So I'm going into a Blackhawks house to watch that game. And I'm like, I'm in the middle of Kentucky, for the love of God. What the hell am I doing with this? But I was just one of those disappointed, but it's the way it was.
We've got some comments coming through here. We've got Drew, Dawn is here. She says, hey, Drew. Drew is here. Says, howdy, Dawn. Michelle is here. Gives us a hashtag ManHourNation. Jester says, hi, Dad.
Hey,
I'm assuming this is going to you. She says, my dad's famous. Or he says, I'm sorry, my dad's famous.
Yeah, he says his dad's famous. I'm pretty sure I've been famous for some other things, talking about New England, that thank God we lived in the 90s, Combs, growing up, and we didn't have all the things on file. You think John Gruden's got it bad. Can you imagine the things if they dug up, if everything was saved on phones and smartphones and email and crap like that? Like,
yeah. He says, I'm just going to act like I know what's happening for you, Dad.
Yay, sports.
Yay, go sports. That's like Alan. Remember Alan used to always come out Triple Shot Sports and say Cardinals suck or go Cardinals.
Yep, go Cardinals.
Yeah.
Eli, just so you know, Jester, that's his code name. Sorry, I should probably keep it safe. Security and Dad's ruined it, but he's a Chicago Bulls fan. There you go. There.
Oh, all right,
So
all right. Wait, the Bulls are looking good this year. Preseason has been good. They could make a little run here this year.
They got their next Michael Jordan. What's his face that came from L.A.
Yeah, I mean they got Ball. That was a good pickup. That squad. They've got a team there. But speaking of having a team here, Supos, it was week 6 in the NFL today. I'm not sure if you heard.
I had my daughter's birthday party today, but my phone in my hip just going off all the day with scores and fantasy and everything. And normally I'm there just to clear it off, and I'm like, my phone literally slowed down. I was like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's it was a crazy day. One of the things that came out of the day was Baker Mayfield, the Arizona Cardinals, Cleveland Browns, probably the game of the weekend, supposed to be the game of the weekend.
Supposed to be.
And Baker Mayfield goes down, and he was already dealing with a partially torn labrum. A lot of people don't know, but he's dealing with a partially torn labrum. He goes down awkwardly on that left arm, and he leaves the game immediately. I didn't think he was going to be able to come back, but he did come back. And he wasn't the same quarterback. You could tell they're handing the ball off a lot more. He couldn't do a whole lot. Luckily, the left arm is not his throwing arm, so there's a little bit of saving there. But I'm not so sure that he's going to be able to come back next week. I think that this is something that once the adrenaline wears off, once they get back into the locker room, this could be something that needs further attention. Do you think the Cleveland Browns are in trouble, or can they push through this without Baker Mayfield if he misses an extended amount of time? Case Keenum's their backup, by the way.
Yeah, Case Keenum. Okay, so Case Keenum's the backup. So let's at least know that they got a halfway decent backup. So I guess in the aspect of the question you're asking, are they in trouble if Baker has to go down for a little while? Are they in trouble? Not necessarily, but man, that schedule just doesn't favor them. This is where you're going to have to tell your defense who's the best defense to go out there and do something different. And people go, hey, they played some really hard teams. Well, yeah, but they played the Chargers and just were giving up points left and right and trying to score as much as they could in offense and couldn't, stop them. And then the Baltimore Ravens, who's in the Browns division, went out and they stopped the Chargers. It's you've got to ask that defense to step up, because let's admit it, the offense is just, it's not doing it. You've got your running backs are banged up. Odell Beckham Jr. is banged up, and he's not even been an actual player there for a year and a half. I mean, Landry's coming back. I didn't know if he came back today or not. I thought there was a chance of it, but still, that's an injury. Are they in trouble if Baker has to go down? I don't know if it's so much as they're in trouble as the AFC itself has still got a bunch of teams grouped right in the middle, but it will be panic time for sure. Baker It's part of, even though I said I'm a Longhorns fan, I always loved Baker. I loved his attitude. I loved his swagger. I love his passion for the game. But sometimes passion for the game. Yeah, his commercials are good too. Yeah, they are pretty funny. I love it. At Home with Baker. There's going to be a lot of At Home with Baker commercials, him sitting on the couch trying to heal up here. But it's that passion that in that game, technically I went back because I didn't watch it, but I looked when he got hurt and everything. There was still technically a chance for them to come back, but he put himself in more harm. Had another, I think he had like another big fumble or an incomplete pass that should have been a fumble or something like that. And like you said, from what I saw, he just didn't look good. And that would be a place right there if you say, hey, listen, you're hurting Baker. I know you're passionate. I know you want to get in. You're already dealing with an injury. You got something else going. Case is no fool. He's been to the playoffs. He's, gotten the whole skull chant going in Minnesota. Let the guy go in. I think that's a coaching decision right there. That's where you get paid as a head coach to say, listen, I care too much about you and your future to let you go out here and do this. I know you want back in. I'm telling you, you're sitting down. You know you're the starting quarterback for this Browns team. Let Case in. I think they should have done that today.
Yeah, look, the Baker Mayfield injury is a scary thought for Cleveland Browns fans, especially if he has to miss time. If he has to miss time, that's serious trouble because, look, I don't care what team you are a fan of. You don't want Case Keenum under center. That's not something you want if you're trying to make a playoff run, for one. For two, the other scary thing was Kareem Hunt went down with a calf injury, and he got carted off the field. That's another one that's going to be real trouble for the Cleveland Browns moving forward if they want a chance. What benefits the Cleveland Browns moving forward is the schedule. So the Cleveland Browns schedule is not very tough over the next few weeks. They get Denver at home this Thursday night on a short week. Denver has not looked good since starting out 3-0 against the bottom of the league. They have not looked good at all. And then they've got the Steelers after that. The Steelers are kind of hit or miss. Then you got the Bengals, who are a much improved Bengals team. And then you're in New England against the Patriots, and then you get the Lions before you really got to buckle down because you play the Ravens back-to-back. You play the Raiders, you play the Packers, you play the Steelers again, and then you play the Bengals again. All of your divisional opponents are at the end of the year.
They're at the end of the year, but I'd almost kind of tell you when you said, hey, what favors them is the schedule. I would tell you it favors them depending on which teams show up, and you talked about it. The Steelers, hit or miss. They could be a great team. Broncos, we'll talk about them later. I'm not sold on what that 3-0 start was any good anyway, so I never thought they were that good of a team. But the Bengals are a decent team. They still have some holes, but they're good. The Patriots, they're my boys. 4 losses. 3 of those 4 losses could have very easily been wins. Like, seriously. And the Lions are the biggest unlucky team who could have beaten the Ravens. They could have beaten, Minnesota? Like,
they got destroyed today, though.
They got destroyed, but at the same time, they got destroyed today, but they almost beat the Ravens. It took an NFL record field goal. They almost beat Minnesota. So, again, which of these teams over the next 5 weeks shows up? I don't think the Broncos are anything that worry me, but the Steelers, the Bengals, the Patriots, and the Lions, which team shows up? And if Baker's not out there in case Keenum is, that's where you need your defense to go out there. You need to tell Myles Garrett, like, listen, put the tombstones in the front yard away, or go add some more and sack the crap out of these quarterbacks and get out there and stop them from moving the ball. You're going to have to be the offense. The defense will have to be the offense.
And see, Buck would have been the smartest man alive if he would have said the Detroit Lions, will almost be 11-7.
Almost,
that would have been a lot closer than saying, hey, they're going to be 11-7. They're starting out 0-6. I mean, hey, it's still possible, Buck. Just throwing it out there. I know you're listening out there. It is still possible they could be 11-7. They just have to go 11-1 the rest of the way. So
I will shave my buttocks bare on live television if they end up 11-7. That's an even better bet than yours, Combs. So.
I mean, I won't watch, but I almost now want them to go 11-1 so that you have to shave your bare buttocks on live TV. Your kids who you've said are watching are probably now scarred, and they are rooting against.
Their dad, they're already scarred. They're already scarred, and they know it. They're probably going like, yeah, Dad probably wouldn't do that. Jeez.
Buck says, he chimes in, he is listening. He says, I will definitely watch right before we get canceled. So we talked about the Browns in this game. Now let's talk about the team who came out and put a mud hole in them in their home stadium, and that's the Arizona Cardinals. They went coast to coast, destroyed the Cleveland Browns. I guess technically it's really not a coast-to-coast game because you go Arizona to Cleveland. Cleveland's not really on the East Coast. It's in the East Coast time zone, though.
It's a far enough of a fly. It's
a far travel, and it's hard for West Coast teams to come out to the East Coast and play. I think what benefited them this time is maybe the later start. It was still a 3:00 start, which they would have gotten on the West Coast. But the Cardinals are now 6-0. Are the Cardinals the best team in football?
Yeah, they are the best team in football. Now, before anyone else gets their opinions in a bunch about who they played and their schedule, I can't stand that. And I get it. We saw that with Pittsburgh. Like, they were an overrated team. But we saw that with Pittsburgh going 11-0, that they were overrated. They still had to play the schedule that was in front of them. But once someone stood up and punched them in the mouth, they weren't valuable, right?
Well, I mean, hold on now. You want the schedule. I mean, they beat the Titans 38-13. That was in Tennessee. They went into the Rams' house, knocked on the door, as I've been saying for 2 weeks now, kissed their mom on the lips, and then beat their butts.
I was talking about Pittsburgh. Oh, you're talking about the people that like to say it. Yeah, no, go ahead. Keep going. I'm sorry. Yes.
They beat the Niners and they beat the Browns. I mean, I don't think you can really talk about their schedule so much because they've beaten some really good teams.
That's kind of what my point was going to get to, is that people that are saying that, they're trying to compare it to Pittsburgh last year, and it's not even close. Like, these teams are fantastic. They're playing. The Rams with Stafford is just, they're on a new level. They're excited. You can tell people are actually going to show up to LA and watch it, 2 or 3 football games, especially with the Chargers. They might get their stadium half full, which is good for them. These are good teams that Arizona is not just beating. They aren't just scratching the edge of the victories and getting 66-yard field goals to pull it off. So to me, you are the only undefeated team. You've beaten great teams. You've looked good in doing it. You pulled the moves needed to get great players in. Kyler Murray, all 3'10" of him, is just out there playing MVP level football, which is just fantastic for him. And
why
that defense,
Kyler like that,
because he's short. If anyone's shorter than me, I have to pick on them. Like my poor son Jester there is so short, he knows it. Like, people are like, "Where's the extra person you said was come to dinner?" He's like, "I'm down here. You can't see me. I know it." And that's the Kyler thing. But you know what? Jester is an amazing and talented kid. He's going to do great in life. Same thing with Kyler. So if that's the only thing I could take away from him, then so be it. But that defense, though, is what still doesn't get enough credit. They're so good. They were thinking about trading away Chandler Jones. So good. Now, with that said, are they the best team? For sure. I can't stand that people are still putting other teams above them. But they're the best team that in one game, if they slip, there were teams just ready to pounce. The Packers, I'm sorry, Combs. The Packers are just looking good. They're gelling. There's energy. The Bucks are always ready to go with Tom Brady. And then Baltimore, just impressing today when they barely beat the Lions a couple weeks back. Now they've gone and had that huge comeback against the Colts, went out there and just demolished the Chargers. They're looking fantastic as well. Somehow, I guess, Jackson learned how to be a quarterback, which is just mind-blowing to me. He learned how to throw a football. Good for him. So the Cardinals are the best team in football. They should be power rank number 1. And I know Buck is sitting and listening to this and probably rolling his eyes. But they're not number 1 leaps and bounds above the rest. They're number 1. But they got at least 3 teams ready to pounce if they slip.
Yeah, and look, I've been on this Arizona Cardinals train for a long time. I said preseason, I picked them to win this division. I actually have them at 15-2 this year. I liked the J.J. Watt signing. I thought that J.J. Watt was going to elevate this already tremendous defense to that next level, because when you've got a guy like J.J. Watt, you allow guys that are like a Chandler Jones, you allow him to be better because that's one less guy that there is there to defend a Chandler Jones. You allow them to do the things a little bit better because of how dynamic of a player you are. And this defense is phenomenal. I mean, phenomenal. And look, I don't expect them to lose next week against the Texans. There could be a trap game against the Texans because they could be looking ahead to the Green Bay Packers the following week.
It could.
But I don't see that happening. I think that the Cardinals are going to be 7-0 heading into that game against the Packers. And I really think that they're going to thump the Packers too.
That's going to That's going to be the game of the first half of the season.
Yeah,
I really think it is.
The Packers, you talked about them being good. I don't disagree. I think that they're a good football team. I think they have the refs in their pockets, so that helps a little bit too, and we'll get to that in a little while. But the Packers are a very good football team. Their defense is just not as good as what they. And you want to talk about teams that have played a soft schedule. It's been the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers schedule, you could look at it all you want, and you can talk about wins and losses, but they've got one really good win on their schedule, and that was at San Francisco, and they blew a 17-point lead in that game.
Yeah.
So, I'm not a big believer in the Green Bay Packers and what they're doing, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a Bears fan. I promise you. Today, look, as much as and we'll talk about this later, as much as I was angry about the way that game was officiated, the Packers are the better team. The Packers are a better team than the Bears right now. The Packers are a better organization than the Bears right now. The Packers have better coaching than the Bears right now. It's just, those are facts.
Yeah.
I just don't believe that the Green Bay Packers are built to be among the elite teams in the NFC. I don't think that they're better than any teams in the NFC West other than maybe the San Francisco 49ers and the Seahawks if Russell Wilson is hurt.
Oh, speaking of that, he just popped up on my screen, by the way, just wearing like regular tracksuit, and it just looks so looks so weird.
Is anybody not rooting for Seattle to beat Pittsburgh tonight with Geno Smith?
Me.
I'm rooting for Seattle to win with
Geno Smith. Used to be
Smith.
a Jet, so that's the only thing I got. That's the only thing
enough.
I got. And I got kind of a, it's going to sound weird, but I've got a little bit of a soft spot for Big Ben, just a little bit.
All right, so we're going to take our first break, and then when we get back, we will get into some more headlines, some more Week 6 action. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Zach Ertz.
All right, we are back. Before we get into some of these headlines, I've got to address some of these comments. Alpha Rob is chiming in, and he says He says, I don't know. This is the first time that I'm seeing this name. So thank you for joining the show, Alpha Rob. He says that he is not impressed by Arizona. He is not impressed by their defense. So
Right,
somebody asked him to give them a better one. And I think it was Buck who asked him to give him a better defense. He says the Bills, of course. And Cards barely beat San Francisco and barely beat Minnesota.
Well,
So,
I mean,
do you think Buffalo's defense better than Arizona?
Defense better than Arizona.
They got two shutouts this year.
Flip a coin, but Arizona's defense has gone up against some tougher squads to prove their ability. So, not being impressed by, no offense to Alpha Rob, you get the title for me, Beta Rob, until you say that Arizona is respectable, but you choose Buffalo. I don't think it's wrong for people to choose Buffalo's defense over Arizona. I think you can go back and forth, but to say Arizona doesn't impress you at all, and then to tote Buffalo's like Buffalo has not played nowhere near as strong of a schedule with as many power in town. So yeah, they're a hell of a good team. They got two shutouts, but I would almost say that if Arizona's defense went against those teams, they'd be pitching shutouts as well. So
and then I think that, when you look at Arizona, yes, they gave up a ton of points and barely beat Minnesota. That was the one aberration game. They did barely they beat San Francisco by a touchdown, but they held them to 10 points.
Yeah.
They held San Francisco to 10 points, and that's a divisional game. When you start getting into divisional games, it's a much tougher game, no matter how good or how bad the other team is. Those divisional games are always tough. So I have to strongly disagree with you here, Alpha Rob. I would put Arizona's defense ahead of Buffalo's right now if you had me. Isaac Hatfield chimes in as well. Isaac Hatfield says the Ravens are the best team in the NFL.
I mean, after today's performance, again, I think that's one of those teams that are just a slip up by Arizona away from competing with them. But let's not forget, it took a 66-yard NFL record field goal for Baltimore to beat the poor Detroit Lions. I mean, the close game that Arizona had was against Minnesota, which Minnesota is capable of all of a sudden blowing up and scoring 40 on you. They've done it many times. Then they turn around and also give up 43 points, or they nearly blow games like they did today in Carolina. I mean, they're a good dang team, but
Isaac says they're 5-1. Well, last time I checked, but check my math here.
5-1's better than 6-0.
Yeah, 5-1's not better than 6-0. So
right.
I mean, my math could be wrong. I know there's new ways of doing math, so maybe I am wrong. I don't know. Cannibal Bear says, "Yo, Dad, is the Dolphins still awful?"
Yes.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. And I'll tell you what, last year I literally looked at everything, not knowing what New England's focus was going to be in the AFC East. And I said, it will be the Buffalo Bills division to reign for the next 5+ years. And I said, and the Dolphins are on the way. I was not even a big Tua fan. And I said, the Dolphins are on the way. Why? Because they had great picks. They did great trades for picks and everything. And it is just bad. It is bad in Miami. There's no identity to that team. And I mean, it could be why you might see them go nuts and pull the trigger and go get Deshaun Watson. I think both what Philly is seeing and what Miami are both seeing is like, holy crap, we should have had something and we don't. And they're going to get in a bidding war, which I think is what kind of Houston is hoping for. Philly just needs to remember they got freaking my boy Gardner Minshew sitting on the bench, and that's all you need to do.
And then Alpha Rob says Arizona barely beat a rookie quarterback. Well, you know what Arizona didn't do is lose a game. Buffalo has, and they lost to the Steelers. So
Baltimore barely beat Jared Goff.
Yeah,
and they didn't beat Jared Goff. That Prater beat Jared Goff. Come on, it's and that's the thing. There are these 1-for-1 tick for tack things, and that's why I think Buffalo, Green Bay, Baltimore, they're all there ready to strike. But at the end of the day, Arizona lines up against every single one of them. And you could say, well, they barely beat this team. Baltimore, you're saying, is the best team, and they barely beat the Lions. 0-6 Lions, barely.
Right. So, yeah, we'll definitely get into some of those. We're going to get into the Dolphins here in a little bit. First thing I want to get into, man, and this is the overlay of the show, the background of the show, officiating in the NFL, man. It has been terrible league wide. And, people will come at me because I was talking about today because I'm watching the Bears, play the Packers. And people were like, oh, well, blah, blah, why are you blaming the officials? I don't blame the officials for the loss. The Bears, I don't think that they were going to win this game anyway. But there was some blatantly one-sided officiating in that game. And it's not just the Bears-Packers game. I've seen it in other games as well. I've been clamoring for officiating all season long. It's been horrendous. All league-wide. It's not just limited to one. But when we talk about the Bears-Packers game today, I was talking about, you look at a three linemen who jump off sides. Justin Fields assumes he has a free play and throws the ball up for grabs and ends up throwing an interception. No flag there.
One of the easiest calls should have been made.
You got Aaron Rodgers who gets sacked, punches the guy in the face mask, so the guy points at him after he punches him in the face mask. They flag the guy for pointing at Aaron Rodgers as opposed to Aaron Rodgers for punching him in the face mask. Then you've got Justin Fields on the sideline after he's already been tackled and out of bounds, gets flipped back over in a suplex, and the ref helps him up instead of throwing a flag. Like, imagine if that was Aaron Rodgers. If that was Aaron Rodgers, 17 flags would have come in, and there's only 8 officials on the field. So
if it was my boy Brady, the national company that makes the flags would dump like a big truck from the blimp and just drop
If
flags.
It was Brady, a tank would have rolled onto the field, and the National Guard would have come along with them. It's so bad and so one-sided, and sometimes it can change the outcome of the game. You watch the Bears had a touchdown earlier. They did come back and score one right afterwards, so it wasn't really that big of a deal. But this touchdown was to let them get back into the game, was to make it a 7-point game, and they called it back for a holding call that when they replayed the holding, there was no hold. It was a clean block. The guy had him by his pads the entire time, never closed his hands, and was just putting his hands on his chest, and the guy couldn't get past him. They called that for a hold. They have another one where they finally call roughing the passer on the Green Bay Packers. No flag is thrown other than the one that was sitting next to Justin Fields. Then they huddle up, and they're like, oh, there was a foul for holding on the offense, and there was a personal foul, so those fouls will offset. It was so horrendously bad, and it was so obvious. And then I flip over to the Broncos game. There's a bunch of bad calls in that game. I was watching the Patriots game. There are a few bad calls in that game. I mean, the third and goal, Dak Prescott clearly gets into the end zone on a sneak play, and they call it nothing. They say he's down at the 1, and instead of reviewing it, they go to 4th down, and then he goes to leap over the line and gets the ball hit out after he crosses the line, but then they go to review, and it shows that it was before the...
Well, on that
officiating
one, though,
is horrendous.
That's not on the officials, and I know it's going to sound like I'm being the Homer New England fan. That's not on the officials that they didn't review it. They called him down at the 1 on the 3rd down play. That's up to the Dallas Cowboys.
I believe there was less than 2 minutes to go in the first half when that happened, was there not?
No, not that I think. No. I mean, I'll go back and check, but I don't think. I think
there was. I don't think they could challenge it. I think there was like a minute and something to go in the first half. So I don't think they could challenge it at the time.
All right. Well, then that point, I'll wait until I know for sure what happens there. But now, everyone in Sports Soup, they know it drives me nuts when there's just officiating issues that happen and then just people just go nuts. All the officials. It drives me nuts because it's just a desire to just point a finger at officials and just blame them for everything and never look at the full game. My problem, though, is starting to become it's too blatant. So many times umps and refs don't get the credit of how hard this job is. Like, think about it. Even with multiple refs on an NFL field, you're watching 22 big, ridiculous, grown-ass men throwing each other around, and you're trying to find the one thing that when our camera zoomed in on a play, you go, how the heck did you miss that? Here's the problem. They are becoming blatant. How you don't see, like, when the ball is getting thrown to a wide receiver and a defender puts their hands right in the face of the receiver, who's not looking at the receiver at that point? You're literally watching the ball go to him. When a guy gets grabbed underneath his neck as he's going to the quarterback, there's a referee looking at the quarterback right there, and the guy is getting lifted and held backwards, put into a cobra stretch. How is that not a hold? How are the three? What
Yes.
obvious offsides, free play for Justin Fields. And like you're taught that the games is taught and teams are taught and quarterbacks are, if you catch him jumping offsides, it's a free play, go for the shot. And he did what he was supposed to do. And now it comes as an interception, looks like a bad stat for him when he did what he was supposed to do there. Take the shot. And it's just blatant. And I'm telling you, we're talking NFL. I think we need to expand it. MLB is getting bad. NHL is getting bad. NBA has just always been a joke, and they've actually been caught for refs, betting on the game and twisting the outcomes in order to win.
Out of all of those sports, football and hockey, I think I give the most leeway to, just because of how fast-paced they are. And I know from experience reffing hockey, like, I know that sometimes you see things on the ice that people don't see in the stands. And you'll see it when they slow stuff down, too. Where you're like, how was that a tripping call? There's no way he fell on his own, blah, blah, blah. And then they go to the replay and you see the tiniest little flick of the stick that went in between the guy's skate blade that allowed him to trip. So those two sports I've always understood where it's fast-paced, so sometimes you miss some calls. It's just gotten really, really bad in the NFL. Baseball has got to go to automated strike zones.
Oh, my God.
And we're definitely going to talk about this later, but I mean, it changes the course of the game. But in the NFL, I don't know how they fix this. I don't. The only thing I could say is that
you gotta add more umps.
Well, even adding more umps, that's fine.
Or refs,
but,
I'm sorry.
But I think you need to make it more black and white, as opposed. There's a lot of rules in the NFL that are up for interpretation by the refs. There's a lot of rules in the NFL.
I disagree with that. I disagree with that. No, because the rules are clear. It's not that it's up for interpretation for the refs. It's that this has gone on long enough that they've changed the culture of the calls to be based on interpretation. The rules are black and white. And I'll bring it back to this. And it's what I fight with people online because, no one, everyone gets on social media to have their mind changed like it's going to matter. But people still to this day talk about the GD Tuck rule, okay? And the fact of the matter is the rule was black and white. Doesn't mean you got to like the rule. Doesn't mean that it was up for interpretation or that the refs went in and some people online are like, oh, they made up that rule on the spot, or they called in to do the review and they were like, no, we want to see this rookie kid. No, that's not the case. It's the rule. It's black and white. If rules are black and white and there's enough uproar about how bad they are, they'll get changed. They'll get adapted. The rules are black and white. It's that we have started to see, and I'll tell you what, I don't know when it really started, Combs, and I feel like I'm dirty when it's talking about how we're starting to shift blame on the refs. But when the refs, what was it? They went on strike, and we had those replacement refs, and we just had those horrendous calls, and everyone was like, "We just need the real refs back." The real refs came back, and guess what? They were beginning to adjust the rules to interpretation. The rules aren't made for interpretation. The rules are black and white. It's the refs that have begun to put the interpretation part in themselves.
Yeah, the thing that, like, I'm trying to figure out, like, how do they fix it? Like, is there I've said in Major League Baseball, if you're not going to implement the automated strike zone, that you kind of go to a sliding pay scale, like where, hey, if you only get 90% of your calls right, then hey, you get all your pay. If you only get 85% of your calls right, guess what? Now your pay for this game is at this level. Because I promise you right now, if you start hitting these guys in their pockets, that's where it's going to start to change them for the better.
Make it commission rule and make it where you get big bonuses for doing it right.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what sales companies do.
Yeah, I mean, look at the San Francisco Giants. The way their season ended was horrendous.
Oh, my God.
I mean, horrendous. That check swing. And look, when you go by the rule, there's actually no rule that defines what a check swing is. It's completely up to the ump on whether or not he thought the guy swung.
There's a rule that is literally up to ump's discretion. But we've gotten to know that the ump's discretion is when the barrel of the bat is even with the front of the plate. At that point, that's the ump's discretion. Left his shoulder. It wasn't even to his back hip.
Oh, how do you God, make that it was call? So bad. In an elimination game in the 9th inning as the winning run is at the plate.
Yeah, and you know what? If it was 15-2,
Yeah.
It still would have been bad, but know the moment they had a man on base.
Yeah.
They're down by 1 run. Yes, it's the last. Like some people are like, well, you had other opportunities, but you still get 27 outs.
Right.
And you took away one of those outs. You only gave them 26 outs when the next swing could have sent them to the next round.
Is that the way to go, do you think? Or do you think you can make it incentive laden where you get bonuses for a certain amount of correct calls, or you lose bonus for a certain amount of incorrect calls? And especially, you get these guys in these games, where it could decide a division, where it could decide a playoff berth, where it could decide, hell, a playoff game. Like, that stuff has got to get corrected. I mean, I think back to the Saints a few years back, right? I mean, even after, the worst part of it was for that ref was even afterwards, the cornerback saying, oh, hell yeah, I interfered with him. I had no choice. And it still didn't get called. And you're like, man, that's really when it started highlighting how bad the officiating is in the NFL.
Yeah.
And it's just not getting better.
The incentive has been, and this is more towards the baseball aspect, but it's been, hey, if you do really well, you get to be able to get picked for the staff that goes to the playoffs, because there will always be playoffs, there will always be championship series, and you get a bit more checks, you get more pay that way, right? And you get more elevated in what you get for better games, blah, 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 all that stuff. The problem is, especially in baseball, the season's so long. Like we're our mentalities as a society has changed, where I know you probably don't think so, but the majority of America, 162 games is long. A lot of people wait until the last 2 months of the season to really start diving in. Like, where are people? They just kind of keep track, watch a game here or there. Then they'll, a month or two go, they'll start diving into it. It's really long. When an ump knows at game 100, 90, 85 that they're probably not going to get on a playoff series, a group of umpires to go and get extra, what the hell's the incentive? He's going to get paid no matter what. Make it so they get paid. Make it a commission level where not only the better you do in percentage, and you use technology like an automatic strike zone to verify these things, but you give them more pay with bonuses, and it's based on the success ratio that you get to go to the playoffs. And you know what? A person at 100 games in may be lower, but if they know that every game after that, even if they don't make the playoffs, if they call the game perfect, they bonus enough where they cover if they had gone to the playoffs. At the end of the day, they love what they do, but they also want to get paid to make a living like you and I do. And at that point, they're like, what does it matter? I'm getting paid the same no matter what.
I would also put these guys on almost like a relegation type thing where, hey, look, if you've got this amount of, like, we're going to review your games. And if you've got this amount of missed calls, or you've got this amount of wrong calls, you're either going to be on a probation type period next season, or B, you're not going to have a job next season if it's really that bad. I wouldn't mind seeing that.
They do so much to get to the game that threatening to not have a job potentially, I don't think is good, because you create fear, and within fear, bad stuff happens. I do think, though, that if you put it on a commission-based level aspect and you continue to look at it that way, you can say, then at some point you can go to them without there already being preset fear, but go say, hey, look, this has been 3 seasons and you're at the bottom here. This isn't working. And we've got these guys in AAA. They've been doing good. They're in the top. We're going to promote them and demote you. I mean, that's sports themselves. That's the workplace in anyone else. That's even the athletes that get paid the millions upon billions of dollars. They know if I don't start doing well, I'm going to get demoted. And at some point, I'm going to end up losing my spot, my job, my contract, whatever it is. They got to do this with the sums. Don't throw the fear in it, but put them on a commission level, because then you can rate them based on that. And you can have those conversations and go, this hasn't worked now for 2 or 3 years. You're not up to par. You haven't even shown a spike going up. We're going to demote you. We're going to get these guys up here and see what they can do. And then the cream, as Macho Man says, the cream rises to the top and the best will be there.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to, make this a whole show about refs and officiating, but we're going to talk about this a little bit more as we go on. And I mean, it's noticeably bad, and it definitely needs to change. One of the other things, so we got getting into some games here. The Bears lose to the Packers in Chicago. Is Rodgers right after he scores a touchdown when he shouts at the Chicago Bears fans, "I own you"?
Let me rephrase this. Is he wrong in saying that? Listen, we talk about it all the time about the younger players of all the leagues. Like, let them play, let them have fun, let them do all this stuff. But then all of a sudden, Aaron Rodgers taunts the crowd and says, "I own you." How the hell is he wrong?
Is
Has
that
he
the same
not
thing he
owned them?
says to the refs prior to the game?
Well,
As he hands
now
him some.
he doesn't say "I own you." He just says, "Remember, I pay you." But that's
Yeah,
not true.
yeah.
I believe that. But
Remember where your
no,
bonus comes from.
listen. At the end of the day, we talk about it. What do we want? We want excitement. We want excitement out of these. And when
Yeah.
he's out there, shit, you know what that does? That pisses off that Bears fan base even more. So guess what's going to happen the next time Green Bay's in Chicago? If he's still playing for Green Bay, those fans are going to be more riled up. That's what we want. He didn't slam vulgarity at their way. He didn't say anything discriminatory or anything like that. He says, "I own you." And he's right. That's not, that's not some one win against a team. He's won once or twice and they've beat him 10 times in doing it. I mean, come on.
I'm gonna take a page out of your hometown's playbook here. And one of my favorite players to watch ever was Pedro Martinez. Aaron Rodgers is our daddy. Aaron Rodgers absolutely does own the Chicago Bears, and it's been tough to watch. The only solace I have is this is hopefully his last season in Green Bay, and we don't have to deal with it anymore. Then they have to deal with Jordan Love while we get to enjoy watching Justin Fields, and hopefully things will get better for the Chicago Bears in that rivalry. But since Aaron Rodgers has been a Green Bay Packer, he absolutely 100% does own the Chicago Bears. So, regardless of whether or not the refs helped him win today, he definitely owns the Chicago Bears. So, the Raiders trounced the Broncos. Are the Raiders just relieved that Gruden's gone?
Are they relieved that Gruden's gone? As opposed, are they relieved that whatever this scenario was going to be, did it turn into this huge freak circus and they can move on? Yes, I think that's more of the case. And people hate to hear this from me, but I'm so sick and tired of people saying, "Oh, John Gruden got fired." We actually don't know what the NFL was going to do. John Gruden decided to step down.
Hey, real quick, Noah says he loves you.
Thanks, buddy. I love you too, even though I just said that your Dolphins are horrible. I'm sorry, dude. So he stepped down. And in doing so, as weird as it sounds, this is some weird writing class, flip it around on its end type of thing. Yeah. John Gruden may have actually helped the Raiders out. He may have actually done his final act as the coach of the Las Vegas Raiders might have been the best act as their coach, which was to say, "I'm stepping down. I'm walking away." You haven't heard him come through with a bunch of stuff. Didn't give the NFL more chance to come in and add some extra spice into it. Didn't make this drag out. We don't have to hear friggin' Adam Schefter and everyone else tweeting. It's done. It's over. He did the best thing for that team, and it gave them the ability to go, we still got to go play football. So are they relieved John Gruden's gone? I don't think that's the case. I really don't think that John Gruden was a hated coach by a lot of his players. But are they relieved that the situation just went away because he said, "I'm walking away"? Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? That's exactly what I was going to go with it. I'm with you 100% on that.
Stole your thunder.
I think that they are just happy that situation, they don't have to deal with it anymore. It's gone. For them it's gone anyway. Not so much for John Gruden, but at least for them it's gone. They don't have to deal with it. They don't have the questions in the locker room or in the press conference or in the post game or anything like that. They don't have to deal with that. So yeah, no, I agree. The Broncos though, started out the season 3-0, and I mean, when we talk about teams that are 3-0 and aren't very good, and I know we've got a listener out there, Liz, who helped design the Beastie merch and came up with the Beastie nickname, and Thanks, she loves her Broncos.
Sorry, but Liz.
I just this team, when they were 3-0, and I even told her, and she got mad at me. I said, "Look, this team's 3-0, but they beat the Jaguars, Jets, and Giants. So just calm down a little bit." And now they're 3-3, and they're not looking so good. They can't protect Teddy Bridgewater against good defenses. They just can't. The guy's running for his life, running scared. Like, yeah, they have, and then they don't play football till the fourth quarter. In any game they've played, they don't play football in the fourth quarter, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, hey, we gotta."
Well, that's because all of a sudden they have all the energy now, and the other team is kind of, they've already beaten the crap out of them, so they're trying to take a breath. I think that's more of what it was. It's the Texas OU scenario. The other team was just too hyped up, and so Denver's got the ability to kind of play against soft defense or dudes that were now tired. I think that's more it is than their skill.
Yeah, and even more so they play the Browns this weekend, and earlier in the year I said that the Browns were a better team than the Broncos, and Liz had the Broncos beating the Browns. So we've got a bet because Liz works out of our Milwaukee office, and so if the Browns beat the Broncos, she has to wear a Bears jersey to work with all of the Green Bay Packers fans in the office. And yeah,
what happens if the Broncos beat the?
Then I have to wear a Broncos jersey.
What a hell of a time for Baker Mayfield to maybe give them one opening,
right? And Kareem Hunt and everything. Exactly.
If there was a week for it, you're like, what the hell?
Yeah, but you know what? I'm still that defense. I think is going to feast on that Broncos offensive line. So I think I'm all right. But
the Broncos were.
Liz chimes in now. She says it's definitely not looking good.
At least she's an honest fan. If you listen, everyone talked about Pittsburgh last year when they were 11-0 and said they're not a good 11-0 team. I was laughing, not because it was some pompous ass, but when people were saying that the 3-0, they weren't even Broncos fans. They were like, "You don't understand what they found in Teddy Bridgewater." And I said, "I like Teddy, I really do, but guys." All it did was prove that they aren't basement dwelling NFL team, but they're, halfway up the steps or just at the door.
I said, look, I've been a supporter of Teddy Bridgewater. I think that Teddy Bridgewater could be a good quarterback in this league, but there's something to the fact that every team that he plays for is okay with replacing him. Yeah, there's got to be something to that fact. I don't know if it's something that's in the locker room. I don't know if it's something mentally. I don't know if it's something that they see on the field that we just don't see. But there's something there because everywhere he's gone, with the exception, I mean, yes, Minnesota was because of injury, and maybe even then they might have still replaced him. But everywhere he's gone, they've been okay with replacing him.
I think it comes down to he has football skill, but he lacks football knowledge. Yeah. And I think that's what it is, because you never hear anyone say anything bad or that there's any tension or anything like that. And when he came back from injury, everyone was so happy for him. But when he gets replaced, you don't hear anyone on the teams going, man, we're going to miss, it's going to be hard not having him out there throwing us to us, because I think he has football skill, but he doesn't have football knowledge. And I'm sorry, but that was what I was beating on the drum even after his MVP season with Cam Newton. I said, this guy has got football skill. He doesn't have football knowledge. And what did we find out? Mac Jones, who hadn't even played an NFL snap, was teaching him the Patriots playbook after Cam Newton played for them for a whole year. And he was teaching it to him. You have to be skilled and you got to know how to play the game. And I think Teddy lacks knowledge, and it's not to say he's dumb or anything. I just don't think he gets it, and that's why some teams look at him and go, "We like you, man. You're talented. You're an athletic kid or guy, but you know what? This person over here is available, and they may not be as athletic as you, but they still got good skills and they understand the game. We'll take our chances here." And
let's get to a team that has been talked about on this show way too damn much. But the Detroit Lions fell to 0-6. And the last time that they were
joke and say Detroit Lions.
The last time they were 0-6, they finished the season 0-16. Are they going to be the first 0-17 team in the league?
Buck. They're not. Okay. Here's where I get to be the great Detroit Lions fan with you. And just pump them up, because they're gonna walk away with like 2 wins.
That's what I had them at, 2-15.
Yeah, that's what I had them at too. And the crazy thing is that they could potentially already have 2 wins. That's the crazy thing. But They still get to face Atlanta. They get to face a really bad, struggling Seahawks team. And the weird thing is they're going to face, it's weird, but January 9th, they face the Packers in week 17, and the Packers might have the division and their seed all done there, and they may just be like, screw it, let the backups go in and everything like that. And we've seen enough from the Detroit Lions. I know today's game was bad, but we've seen it in 3 games where they've got energy. They've got the desire to do this. They've got a great chemistry up and down that team.
Yeah.
The problem is that Jared Goff is your quarterback, and that's what we see.
I don't know
all
that
the
they
time.
got great chemistry on that team. Did you hear the press conference after the game?
Well, I mean, today was just
their
where,
head
where all
coach
the pain went.
threw Jared Goff under the bus and said he's got to be better. He has not shown up. He's got to be a leader. And yes, I know he's right, but you don't do that to your quarterback, man. You don't do that to your guys. I mean, name me a coach that has ever come out there and said, "Hey, look at how many times did we watch freaking Matt Nagy over the last 4 years say, "Hey, Mitch is our guy."
Yeah.
Mitch is our guy.
Yeah.
Like, you don't throw your guy under the bus, and he, like, not only did he throw him he threw him under the bus, kicked the driver out of the seat, backed it back over him, and then drove over him one more time.
Well, hey, maybe he's looking at it like, listen, I know the rest of my team's doing pretty damn good, but I'm not an idiot. Jared Goff is just not doing it. I need to get someone else here and in here. So maybe it was just some stupid desperation move. So the chemistry thing maybe isn't much, but when you watch them play, they play with passion together on there. When that 66-yard field goal went through, it wasn't just the Lions fans that were just like, are you serious? It was their players. Like, they could not believe it. They were ready to absolutely celebrate like they won a playoff game because it proved that they could do this. So, no, I don't think they're going 0-17. I think they steal one from Atlanta. I think they might steal one from the Packers, depending on the scenario in week 17. I had them at 2-15. I think that's what it's going to be. But, I mean, no, I don't think they go winless. They've lost 2 games with 0 seconds on the clock on 50-plus yard field goals.
Yeah.
And we watched the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win a game against the Patriots when the Patriots missed and donked off a 54-yard field goal. So, I mean, Tampa Bay gets a win in that scenario. Detroit Lions get 2 losses in that scenario. I'm not comparing Tampa Bay to Detroit, but I'm just saying they're closer to wins than they are losses.
Buck says that they won't go winless because they got the Bears on the schedule. Well, they already lost to the Bears, and they play the Bears on Thanksgiving. The Bears usually don't lose on Thanksgiving. So he's like,
I just want to piss off Combs.
But they've got the Atlanta Falcons on the schedule, and that's like week 15, week 16, something around there. And I think that might be the first win. So I could see them beating the Falcons. I can see them maybe squeaking out a win against a Vikings team.
I was going to say December 5th. They're at home, and it took that last-second field goal by Minnesota. You could see them now, and that was in Minnesota. I mean, you could see them beating the Vikings, and now watch. Minnesota's going to put up like 52 points on them or something like that.
Yeah. It's one of those. So
Atlanta, big bomb, tie it up, bomb the fourth.
That's my boy, Jock Peterson.
Let's go, baby.
Jock Peterson.
Scherzer was out there throwing smoke this whole game. He was looking really good.
God, he's going to look good in a Cubs uniform next year. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and get to our second break. We are a little bit over the time, but that's what happens when Soup and I get together. We love to come at you guys
show
with the
tonight,
heat.
right?
We don't do none of this beating around the bush crap. We don't talk about how the Lions are going to be like 11-6. We don't talk about how Lamar Jackson is trash. We come at you with the smoke. We come at you with the heat. Tyrod Taylor. King Henry. He's a horrible running back.
He's a terrible running back.
He's going to be behind Miles Sanders this year.
He's only had one good game this year.
All right. We keep coming at Buck. Buck's going to come at us tomorrow, I'm sure. So, we're going to get to a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to get to some.
We're going to get to some more. No,
we're going to get to one of your favorite games. Ain't nobody got time for that. We will be right back.
You're next, Tori.
are back. Guys, make sure you click that like and subscribe button while you are here with us on the YouTube channel. For all those that are listening overseas in the UK, what is up with that tea and crumpet stuff? Jeez, crow. But we've got Belly Up Sports, we've got 313 The Flash, and we've got my boy, Soup Boss.
You know, it's not tea and crumpets, it's bottle water.
What is that?
A bottle of water. It's a bottle of water.
Right,
bottle of water. What's up with the bottle of water?
All right. Well, it is time for a fan-created segment, the fans' favorite segment. It is time for Ain't Nobody Got Time for That.
Nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that.
You know when the lines go 11-1, that's going to be me before I shave myself. That's the ginger hair all over dancing on there.
Oh, wait till you get to the end. I'll play. We usually play the whole video at the end. There's like a whole bunch of dancing chimps and everything. It's hilarious.
That's my kids.
It's my favorite little video. But it's time to get into Ain't Nobody Got Time for That. I bring up some stuff that I just feel like I ain't got time for, and we talk about it a little bit, and then we play that little funny video. And you guys love it. That's how it goes. All right. So, the NCAA, speaking of Ain't Nobody Got Time for That, the NCAA says there's no SEC bias. But you see a team like Alabama lose to an unranked Texas A&M, and they fall from 1 to 5. And then you see a team like Iowa, ranked number 2, lose to an unranked team, and they fall from 2 to 11. And you see Notre Dame lose to a top 10 team, which is actually now the number 2 ranked team in the nation, and they fall from 7 to 14. So, how is there no SEC bias? As soon as Alabama dropped to number 5, everybody saw the writing on the wall. Okay, cool. If Alabama doesn't lose another game, they're back into the playoffs because they're going to leapfrog somebody ahead of playoff time, right? That's just what happens in the NCAA. Stop pretending like you don't have an SEC bias. Stop pretending like you don't want Alabama in the playoffs. Stop pretending like you don't want this to just be an SEC tournament. This is the stuff that I just don't understand, Soup. Why don't they just come out and be like, look, the SEC is the best. We're going to put this up. We're going to just have an SEC playoffs, and the winner of the SEC playoffs is going to win the national title.
They kind of do, in the fact that they had to make a comment that there's no bias. If you're making a comment that there's no bias, there's bias.
100%. 100%. And here's what I really, truly boggles my mind. And people came at me. I posted this on my Facebook page earlier, and people were like, oh, how can you compare Notre Dame to Alabama? Notre Dame can't play in the playoffs. Notre Dame can't do... I wasn't saying Notre Dame's the top team in the nation. I wasn't saying that. But what my suggestion is that saying that their loss to Cincinnati on the road in Cincinnati is a worse loss than to an unranked team. That's the bias.
The way that they're saying it to you, like, how can you compare the two, is literally how the NCAA is doing it internally. Well, we can't compare Notre Dame, what's going on right now, to Alabama. Yeah. So, there's the difference right there, which is actually crazy with how much Notre Dame gets a following still, even though they're a half-ass suck team half the time. So you're going to have to mute me after that one.
It's gonna be interesting for me to see how Alabama competes in the next 5 to 6 years now that everybody else also gets to play their athletes.
Nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that.
It's a catchy jingle, ain't it? I see you dancing in the background.
Still dancing, baby.
All right. So the next one here, we've got MLB strike zones and their replay review rules. The strike zones are just trash. I mean, I watched one the other night in game 1 of the NLCS where 3 straight pitches were out of the zone. All 3 of them were called strikes. Called strikes, not swinging. The guy didn't swing at any of them because all of them were about 4 or 5, maybe even 6 inches out of the zone.
Same thing ALCS with JD Martinez.
JD Martinez, yeah, there was another one. Like, it alters the course of an at-bat. If players don't know what your strike zone is because you don't know what your strike zone is, that's a problem. That's a problem. And the San Francisco Giants, which we touched on earlier, the way their season ended, to say that is not a reviewable call is a joke. To say that anything is not a reviewable call in a playoff game is a joke. You got to give your managers two replay reviews, just like the NFL does, right? And if you get one wrong, you don't get a third one. You get both of them right, you get a third one. And everything needs to be reviewable. Everything needs to be reviewable. I don't even care if you want to make it strikes and balls need to be reviewable. I've only got 3 challenges, right? And if I'm wrong and you're right, guess what? I don't get that challenge. So to sit there and say, "Oh, well, that's going to extend the game too long." No, it's not. It's not. I've got 2 challenges. I've got 2 challenges. And if I'm wrong, you're not going to extend the game at all. But if I'm continuously right, sure, that might extend the game. But then that'll make the umps do their job a little bit better.
MLB actually does a great job on the reviews when they do get them of doing them pretty dang quickly as compared to, a pitcher going in for an injury and then taking 46 minutes in order to get the next pitch out. We're not going to complain about that. But NFL reviews take too dang long. But MLB reviews are quick. They let the people that are watching the same thing we're watching make the judgment call. They give it to the umps, make it allowed. We just talked about how the Giants got 1 out taken away from them. When you throw 3 pitches that were breaking back to back to back against JD Martinez that are 4 to 6 inches outside the strike zone, you took an out away. And guess what? The Sox lost by 1 run. That one swing of the bat in that at bat could have tied it.
Probably their best power hitter all season long.
Yeah,
and maybe their hottest hitter heading into the playoffs as well. So I don't enjoy watching stuff like that because it really does. And I ref hockey, I ump baseball, I've refed football, and I've refed basketball. I've done all of the above. Not at this level, but I've still done it. I understand where sometimes people see things differently than the way that you see them. But some of these calls, some of these umpires,
blatant.
We won't mention any names. Angel Hernandez. Some of these umpires, they're just blatantly bad, and there's nothing that you can do about it because MLB won't do it. They've got the technology to go to automated strike zones. You can't tell me that they don't. They've got the ability to do that. We watch it on TV during.
I was going to say we
game.
watch it. We know they can do it because we watch it. If they can stick a camera and a little pylon in the NFL and give us almost a 360 degree, and we can watch an MLB as fans, the strike zone, they can do it. They can do it. It's simple.
They've got cameras flying around the stadium on drones. They've got all sorts of different things that they can do. You can absolutely go to automated strike zones.
We can't afford that. We need to see the managers sitting on the top step of the dugout in 4K right before the game as they're contemplating about how the next 3 hours are going to go. That's more important.
Exactly. So regarding their strike zones, regarding their replay rules.
Nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time.
All right. The one last one I want to get to before we go, and I know you're probably sick of it. You were probably sick of it after game 1 of the ALCS. Carlos Correa's little "it's my time" celebration. You're an idiot. You know what you should do? You should pat your boy Jose Altuve on the chest. Oh, can't do that though. It might hurt the buzzer. You should maybe pat your cameraman on the chest. Oh, can't do that. People still know that you're using cameras in the dugout. Oh. Maybe, just maybe, it's your time to shut the hell up. I don't care if you celebrate. I don't care if you bat flip. I love all of that stuff. I love all of the bat flips. I love all the celebrations. I love guys like Javi Baez, Wilson can't. It's not even just about the Astros. It's just it's your time. What does that even mean? You've already won a World Series. What do you mean it's your time? We know you've been good for a couple of years now. Yes, it's your time.
He was just pointing at the watch, telling them when they get the next call in to know what the strike zone is. Like he's telling them to update it on the watch.
I loved your post, by the way, on Sports Soup. It's time to go back to Boston, tied 1-1.
It's time to go back to Boston 1-1.
That was great.
That's why I'm
just
okay
don't
with
like
it. Because you know what? When you then the next game fall flat on your face and you watch your team give up back-to-back grand slams, I get to make posts about that. Just like the Bears will be able to tell Aaron Rodgers to suck it if they go into Chicago next year and he falls flat on his face. Go ahead. Say your crap.
Yeah,
do it. Just be prepared when it hits you right back in the face.
I just wish Joe Kelly was still pitching for the Boston Red Sox, because
You and
damn
me
right
both,
well,
baby.
if he struck him out or if he got him out to end an inning or something crazy, he would walk off the mound. He would be doing the strut, and he'd be pointing at his watch the whole way off the field. I would love every second of it if they had a guy like Joe Kelly. Do the Red Sox have that guy? Do the Red Sox have the guy who's going to take him out and then celebrate as they walk off the mound?
You didn't hear about the guy that they brought in for the playoffs? His name's Mo Belly.
Mo Belly.
Just a random guy that they signed off the street. He's got a mustache and everything like that.
Oh, all right. So
Long
is that
lost
why
cousin.
Joe Kelly's off the Dodgers roster all of a sudden? Oh,
It's Mo Belly.
things that we don't want to talk about, right?
Nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that.
They're not just dancing, they're doing the river dance.
That's
Hell
my-
yeah, baby.
That's my favorite part of that whole
The
damn
river
video.
dance.
I look forward to this segment just to watch that video at the end of it every damn time. It kills me. It cracks me up. I don't know. I love
It
it.
was every night in my 20s in Boston, hitting
Yeah.
the bars with me and the half-naked Ginger, and then trying to do the river dance with 4 other drunk guys. That's the perfect video.
The Buck outdid himself with that video. Buck put that video together. I love it. All right, so we're going to get to another break, and when we come back, we're going to get into some more headlines from week 6, and we're going to do some shop talk. So guys, go ahead, get your comments in there. The comments have been off the wall. I saw comments earlier talking about, top 10 players all time. Somebody said Kobe wasn't a top 10 player of all time in the NBA. I would love to destroy that person, because to say that is asinine. I don't understand anybody who would ever say something like that. But to each their own, I guess. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will... Yeah, Buck.
It was me.
That whole argument just lost its validity because it was Buck.
Yep.
We'll be right back.
Truck Buck. But
manhourradio.com.
right, and we are back. Soup Boss and your boy Beastie Brandon Combs.
Shout out to the 17-year anniversary of The Steal, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I got. 17 years ago. It was amazing. Still gives me goosebumps.
You know, this week actually marked the 1-year anniversary of Buck and I starting the Man Hour.
I'm glad you ended it that way. The way that sentence was going really worried me.
Yeah. We restarted the Man Hour. He had already had the Man Hour going, him and Mike LeBlanc, and then Buck and I and LeBlanc kept going with it.
So what I'm hearing is this is the 1-year anniversary of them being graced by your presence and allowing you to. I mean, except you would. You wanted me to say it.
I might have taken it to a new level with Buck.
You know what? People can take it to a new level is if they hit the like button on YouTube. That would be good. All the comments, hit the freaking like button.
Absolutely. And keep throwing it in there. Jester comes in and wants to know, you playing Dead by Daylight, Rainbow Six without me, Dad, or just Fortnite?
I'm just playing Fortnite without you, buddy. Unfortunately, I get too addicted by it. Rainbow Six isn't out yet. I got to wait for that. And Dead by Daylight, I'd love to be able to play with that with you, but it takes like 45 minutes to get into a freaking game. Screw that. I'm not waiting in the lobby that long. I'm too old.
I love Fortnite. I play Fortnite all the time. And it's funny. I'll get on and I'll be like, all right, I'm gonna see if the kids are playing, and none of the kids will be on because it's like 11 o'clock at night, and I know they're not gonna be on. So I just
go up and I level up
and I play. Yeah.
Yep. I'm on level 79 right now in the season. I play until like 2 a.m, like all by myself solo. I don't care.
Yeah.
Shoot up some kids and dance on them and take that W, baby.
Yeah, I was so aggravated last night. I played for like a couple of hours by myself. I played, I think, 6 or 7 rounds. I finished second in 5 of them. I couldn't finish it off and get the damn dub in all 7 of them. One of them, I'm jumping around with this guy, hitting him with a shotgun. I can't build to save my life.
I don't build. Yeah. Here's the thing, though, a little pointer. What I've learned, because I was always doing that, what I've learned is grenades are my best friend, because when you get to the final 2 or 3, they can build. And so all I do is I have 6 of them, and I'll sometimes have 12. And then I just start chucking grenades, and they fall down and everything, and it's just one shot and dead. And that's my only chance, because I can't build. I'll build a wall in front of me, and they shoot down. I'm like, you jerks. I keep
like 6 fireflies with me at all times, because when somebody starts building, I hit them with the fireflies. Yeah. But,
bunch of old guys talking Fortnite. The ratings are going through the roof right now.
There's nothing wrong with some Fortnite, man. I love. I can't
wait for that Rainbow Six game, though. Man, that's gonna be great. Crossplay.
100%. It's gonna be that Rainbow Six game does look pretty damn sick.
Nope, it's gonna be good. I game on Stadia, so unfortunately, it's the only way I can play with my kids when there's actual crossplay games.
It's what too though, when you are in the situation that you're in, I'm in the situation that I'm in. You don't get to spend every single day with your kids, and it gives you
how I stay connected.
It gives you a way to stay connected. It gives you a way to spend quality time with them without actually having to be there to have quality time with them. So I've enjoyed it, and my kids enjoy it. They love it. They'll call me up every night, Dad, you want to play? And sometimes I'm able to, sometimes I'm not. But yeah, man, it does. It gives you that connection. So. I love
when I make them laugh.
He's talking junk
so bad. He's talking junk, but you know what? I get to be a dad and be proud. That's what I was saying. Sometimes the fun of playing Fortnite is they get to laugh at me because, man, all my 4 boys, top to bottom, man, they're so good at it. They really are.
My kids are very good at it too. They laugh at me because if we go and we play in like these creative modes that they like to play, because they know they could kill me in these creative modes.
I don't even play in that crap.
So they like going into the creative modes and playing. But the one thing that I think we would have is that we know tactical stuff.
That's what I've
they
taught
know how
them.
to build.
There's balance. You got to be tactical, like finding the right weapons, being okay hiding in a bush, let 2 teams killing each other, let one kill the other one, and then when they're trying to heal you, it's all.
That's how I've gotten with me and Brandon Jr., I think we get to the point where we're on duos, and all of a sudden we're like we'll win like 5 or 6 games in a row because I'm like, Junior, hey, this is how we do. We beat me. So now if we've got 1 or 2 teams, hey, you keep shooting at them. I'm gonna run around this hill and I'm gonna come up from behind them. And that's how we. Yeah, absolutely. Those are
You were probably the team the other night we were playing against, and they did that, and I was so pissed. I was like, "Oh, you ran around the hill, you jerk!"
Yeah, and you don't just run around the hill because I can see your little footsteps come up on the screen. So you got to sneak around the hill, and you got to.
That's where I got better, by the way. I didn't know that I was part of it, and Calvin showed me. He's like, "Dad, you need to put this on." And I was like, "Whoa, this is great!" Because I'll hide in houses and squat. These idiots are running up the stairs like, "Oh, no one's in here!" Boom, shoot in the face, you're dead.
Exactly. Yeah, 1 pump with the shotgun. All right,
pump shotgun, baby.
We'll get off of the Fortnite for now, but we'll talk. We'll
it's
talk
an
later
e-sport.
after the show.
It's an e-sport.
Yeah,
okay?
Absolutely. Absolutely, it's an e-sport. My 8-year-old actually plays in the league. So, well, actually, he's 9 now. My 9-year-old plays in the league.
Oh, good job, Dad.
So, yeah, he's pretty damn good too. I'll give it to him. So, your Patriots, man, played the Dallas Cowboys. Played them tough. Took them to overtime.
Yep.
Are the Dallas Cowboys pretenders or contenders?
Those are two ends of the spectrum. Pretender, contender. So if I have to pick one of the two, I'm going to put them at the contender, but I'm still not sold that they're a high-end contender. I think they're a team that at the end of the year, it's going to come down to if their team has more healthy players than another team does. They're a hell of a talented group. And my God, that Diggs kid, what an absolute beast on the defensive side.
7 interceptions.
7 interceptions, 2 touchdowns. And put it this way, you want to talk about how one player can change the dynamic? All of last season, Dallas Cowboys had 10 interceptions all of last season. They have 11 already. I mean, because mainly of him. Like, it changes the dynamic of a team if you have someone that can go in and do that. But give my boy Mac Jones some credit. Very next play comes out there, throws a 75-yard touchdown, and a guy that did a double move on him kind of went right back at him. But they're contenders. But it's going to depend at the end. Because let's be honest, they play in just a garbage friggin' division anyways. They're going to smoke that division and win it and go in the playoffs at a pretty high seed. When they play, are the Packers at full strength? Are the Cardinals at full strength? Are the Rams at full strength? Because now you've got a completely different game altogether. And are the Cowboys at full strength? Ezekiel Elliott, still to me, even though he seems to be finding a little bit more rhythm, he does not feel 100%. It feels like he has a game here or there. And then there are games that, like, I watch him get tackled and he'll get grabbed and he just falls forward. He looks like Big Ben, like falling forward when he tries to throw a pass, for crying out loud. He doesn't have the same explosive nature. And so they bring in, I can't remember his name, their backup running back, who actually should get a ton of credit. And I can't think of his name right now. But I mean, if he goes down, then you're depending on Zeke to be that running game. That's a big sell
Pollard?
right now. Yeah, Pollard.
Yeah.
Pollard helps that offense. He comes out there. He actually can create speed, hit the gaps, make a defense have to readjust what they're doing. Ezekiel is not the guy that's doing that. He's a bigger guy, but he's not making defenses shift their gap coverage or what they're going to do the way Pollard is. So if Pollard goes down, that makes them one-dimensional. Teams are going to rush Dak, and today we saw when the Patriots rushed Dak, he looked uncomfortable. So contenders, more than pretenders, but I think there's still a long way to go with them.
The thing about the Dallas Cowboys being in the NFC is that the NFC is very top-heavy. You got 5 teams that are either 6-0 you got 1 team that's 6-0, and then you got 4 other teams that are 5-1. Dallas Cowboys being one of them, and then right after that, it falls back to the New Orleans Saints in 6th place at 3-2.
Right.
So I mean, there's a big difference between the top 5 and then the rest of the conference, right? So Dallas, I want to group them in that group of 5. So you got Arizona, Tampa Bay, Green Bay, and LA in there with Dallas, the Rams, that being. And I don't think they're as good as any of those teams. I really don't. I think if they play any of those teams head-to-head, I think they lose 5 out of the 5 games. They're not better than Arizona. That Arizona defense, I think, would destroy them. And that Arizona offense would light up the Dallas defense. I think they would probably stay away from Trayvon Diggs, though he might get his interception anyway. But I think that Arizona is better than them. I think the Rams are better than them. I think the Packers are better than them. There's not very, after you get past those other, 4 teams, sure, the Dallas Cowboys are right there. I'm just not a big believer in what they're doing and being able to be an elite team in the NFC.
If you asked me to bet money on if in the next 4 weeks they played those 4 teams that Dallas would go 0-4, and all they need is 1 win out of those 4 for me to win the bet, I'm probably actually going to bet that they can get 1. They have enough power. Not saying that it's going to be an explosive over the top end, but I think they could play Green Bay and beat them 34-30 in a crazy shootout. Something similar to what you saw with New England today. I think you could see that. It also depends on location. There's a home team element. You watch Dak's comfort and energy level playing in Dallas is a heck of a lot different. We go to that whole dome aspect and the AstroTurf element. It's a lot different than it was when you and I were growing up, but it is still a different aspect compared to him going up today and playing in New England in a colder temperature and on natural grass and everything like that. He didn't look as comfortable. So depending on where they play and play those 4 teams, if I had to make a bet, I bet you they could pull out a win. That's why I say that they're contenders, because they're close. Because you're right, they're top heavy, but NFC's top heavy. But remember, they're part of the top half that is heavy in record wise, at least. And you got to give them credit for at least going out there and playing tough on some teams. Yeah. I don't know. It's so easy and
kind of weak, though. I mean, they did beat the Chargers in LA. But they lost to the Buccaneers. That was the only other really good team they played. They played the Eagles. They beat them, which they should. They played the Panthers, which the Panthers, for one, it was the first week that the Panthers didn't have CMC. So, and then they beat the Giants, and now they beat the Patriots. And the Patriots just aren't what they were. I mean, let's just face it. The Patriots aren't that real big threat where you're just like, oh, man. But Patriots still took them to overtime. Patriots still played them tough. Speaking of the Patriots, your boys, how long before the fans turn on Bill Belichick?
I couldn't wait for this question, and I was kind of hoping that the Patriots pulled that game out so I could tell you, what are you freaking kidding me? Like, this is the dumbest question. They're not going to, because here's the thing. Like, they're 2-4, and 3 of those losses, I'm not being a homer here, 3 of those losses they could have won. They could have beat Miami, they could have beaten Tampa Bay, and they could have beaten Dallas today. Doesn't matter. You didn't. There's still losses at the end of the day, but they weren't getting blown away or smoked. And to make your little chub get all happy and dance, the only team that they really didn't have a chance against was Jameis Winston, the New Orleans Saints. But even then, they got within a 1-possession football game. And to Gary Payton's full credit, he was like switching up the offense, putting Hill in there, and it confused the Patriots.
Payton.
They did. Sean Payton. I'm sorry, Gary Payton.
Gary Payton plays basketball.
Sean Payton put Hill in, and it confused them out because the Pats started recognizing Winston and Kamara, and we're starting to find ways to slow them down. They're not going to, because as I said earlier in the show, the Patriots won the Super Bowl the first year with Tom Brady, and almost everyone forgets the very next year they didn't even make the playoffs. Like, it's okay. And we are so spoiled as New England fans, yet at the same time, we know it just takes a little bit of time. Now, come ask me this question in 4 years, if they haven't even sniffed the playoffs at that time, well, then, it's going to, people are going to start turning, but no one's turning on them because everyone in New England knows there are three losses that could be wins. They took the Cowboys to overtime. They pushed Brady and that Buccaneers team to their limit and nearly stole a win out of that. They're not going to turn their back on Bill, but at the same time, it would be good now if we see some of these other teams that aren't the Dallas Cowboys, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, if they go and they actually get some solid wins. Just squeaking out a win past the Houston, a Texans team wasn't going to be the biggest thing, but people forget, if you didn't watch that game, which most people didn't, because who the hell wanted to watch that game, but me as a fan of the Patriots did, that took Houston going for it on 4th down like 5 times. They were pulling out every trick in the book and doing everything they can. Why? Because even though they're not the top team in football, it is still the New England Patriots. It's still Bill Belichick. They still have a target on their back. People want to win. The Dallas Cowboys went in there today wanting to beat the New England Patriots, not wanting to beat a 2-3 team. That's the difference.
Yeah.
So I don't see them turning on Bill anytime. It's in Bill we trust, and we see what we saw out of Brady in his first 2 seasons. We see at least the system of that happening in Mac Jones. We see him getting better. He's 5th best in the league in completion percentage. We just need to see one of these tight games going the Patriots' way. We're almost the next Detroit Lions. The close games just don't work.
Jester says, "Hey, Dad, Calvin's been in the chat. He can't talk, but he wants you to know."
All right, Goose.
Give Calvin a shout out.
Goose. I call him Goose. It's not
Goose. All
Goose. Right. Goose Moose. That's what he is on my phone. What's up, big guy? That's speaking of which, that's who I played Fortnite with the most. Me and Goose. That's how we decompress. It's a good time. We'll play some big duos. We actually get on each other a little bit. So you got a 40-year-old man and a 10-year-old kid yelling at each other, and then the next game we go out and we destroy them and we lock them out for 15 kills in the win. So it's my boy.
All right. So look, I heard you say that they're not going to turn on Bill Belichick, that they've been in these games even though they've lost
right now.
and they've got chances and all this stuff. But I'm a big advocate of fans are stupid. Fans are prisoners of the moment. And look, I'm a fan myself, okay? But there are very few fans that can separate fandom from reality. And there's a lot of fans. I mean, look, fans will come at you and say all sorts of craziness, because they don't understand all the aspects of the game. They don't understand the things from the point of view, almost like you and I will sit there and we'll break down things from every aspect, every point of view, from the player's aspect, from the owner's aspect, from the fans'
logic
aspect.
And data and everything like that.
If our team sucks, like if I'm the Bear, I can tell you the Bears are a trashy organization. I don't like the way the organization's been run over the last 30, 40, 50 years. But I digress. The fans are going to turn on Bill Belichick. They did it when Tom Brady was there. When they were 2-0 a few years back, I listened to Boston Sports Radio living in New England, and I hear the fans calling, "Oh, we should have let Tom go. We should have kept that was right after they let Jimmy G go. We should have kept Jimmy G. We should have just let Bill and Tom go to San Francisco and kept Jimmy G. We're 2-2. Everybody's they're done. Everybody's catching up to them." And then they went on to go 12-4 and win the Super Bowl.
Your first problem is fans are stupid, but your first problem is that you're putting in people that call into radio stations like WEEI who live in their mother's basements, and that's all they do in their life is they call into WEEI and Sports Hub 98.5 and all these other places around America. They make their points because they sit there. But they're the friggin' fools that sit there and will argue with their buddies about the same crap. I went to New Hampshire for my grandmother's funeral, and the very first night I sat here and listened to a guy. I love him, Bobby. I love you, buddy. But I don't give two flying craps what the Eagles fans did yelling at Michael Irvin back in the 1990s. Who gives a crap? Those are the fans that call into these radio shows. They hold on to stuff. That's a small percentage. Fans are dumb. Yeah. You're right. But the larger percentage of the fans, even if they're dumb in some sense, aren't those fans calling into those shows. You want to know why I think that they're not going to turn on Bill? Again, ask me in 4 years if they don't make the playoffs. But they were last year when I watched New England Patriots fans pretty much reserve like this is a lost season, and that's okay because we don't have Tom Brady. Cam Newton doesn't get it. We lost half our defense to COVID. But that's okay. We just wanted to see something happen. And when they drafted Mac Jones in the first round, and they took him and named him the starter, and they're going to go with it, and they see flashes of it. That's why, because there's hope. There's hope that what we saw 20 years ago with Tom Brady, you might be able to replicate it. Okay, Bill, here's your system. Here's how you do it. Now you can replicate it. I think that's why there was anger before, is because they saw it with Jimmy before Jimmy was just a walking cast.
Is that unfair to Mac Jones, though?
I would say it's unfair to most players, but there are certain players that thrive on it. And the reason that Mac Jones was liked by a lot of people and they thought they were steal, just like Justin Fields, if he had dropped to the Patriots, and why I think that he's going to succeed once some crap gets switched around in Chicago, is Fields and Mac Jones were the two quarterbacks that had the mentality more than Zach Wilson, more than Trey Lance. Like, they have the mentality of, I'm good. Bring it at me. I'm going to be good. Mac Jones was studying. He was asking Gilmore and Hightower questions about the defensive playbook, and they were like, "How do you know about that?" He goes, "Because I'm studying it. Because that's what I'm supposed to do." When you find players like that, when they're being told like, "Hey, you're going to be the next Tom Brady," at the end of the day, let's say he goes out and he does win the Super Bowl. You know what he's going to say? "No, I'm the next Mac Jones." And that's his mentality. Same thing with Fields. I love both those quarterbacks for that reason. So is it fair to him? Probably not. Do I think Mac Jones gives two flying craps? No.
I like it. I mean, I'm one of those guys. Look, I know that things are broken right here in Chicago, but I watched Justin Fields play, and even though we lost today,
I love that kid.
I watched Justin Fields play, and I watched the spots where he's putting the ball. Like he threw a pass today to Allen Robinson that was just on a dime.
What the hell is going on with Allen Robinson, by the way?
Well, look, Allen Robinson to me is kind of an overrated wide receiver. He's got good hands, but you cannot throw him a jump ball because he will not win a jump ball. Yeah, I don't care how much bigger he is than the cornerback. He just does not win jump balls, and that's the problem. He reminds me a lot of, remember Alshon Jeffrey?
Yeah.
He reminds me a lot of Alshon Jeffrey. A whole lot of promise, whole lot of potential, good hands, just can't win the ball in traffic. And right now, if you're a Chicago Bears wide receiver, you have to be able to go over the middle. You have to be able to win balls that are being defended, because you're not going to get open because your quarterback doesn't have enough time to wait for you to get open. So as Jester chimes in, Jester says, where did it go? I just saw it. I just realized I have more TikTok followers than man-hour subscribers.
Oh,
well,
man.
Jester.
Oh, and he changed his picture to his TikTok.
What you need to do, Jester, and hear me out, and your dad will agree with this, is you need to clip some of this show. Take your favorite parts from the show, even when you're putting your comments on there, and throw them on your TikTok. And then when you throw them on your TikTok, you make sure that you go ahead and you put the link for the show in there, and encourage your followers to go ahead and like Man Hour. And then when that starts happening, we can get a whole thing going. Look, Jester, I'm telling you, your dad's going to be on the show a lot more often. So you're going to want to do this.
He's gotten a couple videos of his. He's a great editor. The kid's really smart, talented. I absolutely love seeing him thrive in that. And he's gotten some videos on his channel that have gotten like tens of thousands of views on it.
Holy cow.
Really good stuff. Yeah, he's really good and smart with that stuff.
Tens of thousands? We struggle to get tens.
Yeah, tens of thousands. He's got some that are low number, but he's gotten some that have really. I mean, he had one series where so many people were following, but he's still a kid, and he was like almost exhausted. And I was like, "Hey, welcome to adult life, buddy. You keep pushing out, and they want more, and you're tired." But
yeah,
he's great. But that made me think. Maybe there needs to be a man-hour TikTok station.
We have a man-hour TikTok.
What the hell?
There is a man-hour TikTok. You're behind the curve here.
How many people follow this thing?
Like 3.
So
but there is a man-hour TikTok.
Am I behind the curve? Or
yeah,
creating an account on an app.
It is new. I think it's only been up for like 2 weeks.
Is it called Man-Hour Buck?
It might be. We don't. None of us are really tech savvy. Tori doesn't even have TikTok on his phone, and he refuses to get it on his phone. Calls it Tic Tac.
Whatever. It's hilarious as hell. I love it.
Oh, I love it too.
We have 35 followers. My boy here, literally my boy, has 5,484 followers and has over 193,000 total likes.
So, hey, hook us up, Jester. He says, I have 370,000 on one. Look, Jester, man. Look, you got to... I don't know if we got to bring you on to be our editor. I don't know if we need to bring you on to do, some stuff, but we need to talk to Jester.
Hey, my oldest boy, Noah, if you're still watching this, you have a senior project you need to do. Being able to do some editing for a sports station on TikTok.
Hey, this isn't just a YouTube thing. You guys see all the subscribers on YouTube, but we are on about 8 different radio stations. So that's really where we get a majority of our listeners. We actually are on a radio station in the UK. So if you start putting your name on with our product, there are a lot of people
taking crumpets.
that will see it. I love the
long live the Queen.
Oh my God. That is terrible.
By oath.
Now and now, all right. So we no longer are on a radio station in the UK.
I love the UK, man. I'm trying to be one of them in this. Don't you hear it? I follow this guy. Speaking of TikTok, I follow this guy from England. He's just blown away with all the stuff in America and everything like that. I want to do it in reverse, but we can do it with sports stuff. It would be great. Like, why do we send our crappy teams over there to show what American football is like, but we give you the garbage that's left over?
And the Jaguars.
The
Jaguars are horrible, and the Dolphins are probably the most disappointing team in football right now.
You know, when you complain about Thursday night football and the matchups and everything like that, think about how much they would wish to have the matchups on Thursday night football compared to the crap that we send them across the pond.
The problem is the winning teams don't want to give up a home game, though, right? Like you're not going to see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or the New England Patriots give up a home game to go to London.
Yeah. So you got to give teams that just don't give a crap, and they can, they'll make more money going over to Wembley than they will in their own home stadiums.
Yeah, exactly. So,
by the way, Pittsburgh's up 14-0. By the way, Geno Smith is getting destroyed.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. I haven't watched a lick of that game. I've got the NLCS, which is tied at 2 in the bottom of the 5th right now. And Max Scherzer's out of the game. That's good for Atlanta.
Yep, he's out. So, and they've got Atlanta's got 2 guys on. I got that right here, and I got the football game right here.
Oh, there you go. Look at you.
So,
all right.
The rest of this room is empty, though.
Speaking of the baseball game, let's talk a little bit of baseball playoffs. We've got the ALCS, which is near and dear to your heart. You see the Boston flag flying behind your head. You are a diehard Red Sox fan. You love your boys.
My hands are backwards. I can't. That green guy, right there.
Yeah, that green guy. Yeah, there you go. Wally, the monster. They're about to head to Boston. It is now a best-of-5 series. Boston has reversed home field advantage, and they now own home field advantage. Are your Red Sox going to the World Series, Soup Boss?
Oh, God. So, you're first off, I made the comments, but I got banned from the last show, in which you picked them.
I was hilarious anyway.
And I said something that I guess the system didn't like about Ajax, and we'll leave it there. But
it might have been the hooker part.
Yeah, well, whatever. Something about that. I was trying to stay away from it. Prostitute, late of the night. So you jinxed my Sox, and I want them to flip it around. And one of the things I said is they got to go in and steal one of these games, right? And that first game, they almost did, and they couldn't pull it out. And then they just went in and they just took care of business in game 2. But here's my only fear. I said they got to split and they'll be in good shape. But even in game 2, the bullpen is just going to be an issue. And I mean, it's going to be like both of the. It's so funny because the NLCS, we're seeing teams that can rely on their pitching, and the ALCS, neither one of these teams can. They've got some good, like Evaldi, you love him, but even then, he threw up 3 runs. Which, by the way, side note here, for the love of God, John Smoltz, stop using the term crooked number. Freaking do something better than that. Look, crooked number.
He is so bad.
It is terrible.
And when you have him next to Joe Buck, it's even worse.
I enjoy it. I just threw up a little in my mouth. I enjoy listening to Joe Buck over John Smoltz. It is terrible. It is horrible. And then he's like, here's what they're looking for. Yeah, we know. We already saw that. It's the next pitch, John. Anyways, your question is
like, I don't know if you heard it. Not to change the subject, but that was a lot like freaking on the Patriots broadcast. It was they were bringing it back, and Tony Romo was on the call, and they said, "What do you think the Cowboys are going to do here?" And the play runs, and it's Dak Prescott on his sneak. He goes, "I think they're going to run Dak Prescott on his sneak here." And I'm like, "No kidding."
Yeah, thanks, Tony. I'm glad you get paid a hell of a lot. The people running the boards and switches are like, I get paid 1% of what he does.
Yeah, but that's what John Smoltz is doing.
It's garbage. And I'm glad because I asked you, I'm like, has he always been? I didn't remember not liking him this much, and I'm just blown away with it. And that drives me nuts because most fans are like, oh, they're not talking about the Red Sox enough for their own team. And it's like, it's national broadcast. They're supposed to talk about both teams, but he doesn't talk about either team. He just talks out of his rear end half the time.
He just talks to talk. He's A-Rod. He's just as bad. Like A-Rod, watching A-Rod makes me want to poke my eyeballs out and gouge my eardrums. But John Smoltz is just as bad. Like you watch guys
bad.
like that, and they just talk to hear themselves talk, and they keep them on the broadcast because of the name A-Rod and the name John Smoltz and what they mean to the It doesn't matter. When it comes to broadcasting and when it comes to listening to the guys on the mic, I would much rather listen to a Jason Benetti from the White Sox along with Steve Stone, who also played the game, who actually knows the game and can actually talk and articulate themselves on the air. These guys cannot. These guys know the game, but they can't articulate themselves to talk to you.
That's why I tell people, if you're getting ticked because they're not pumping up your own team, put your TV on mute. Go to the radio station, get your local, and just listen. Just do it. Stop complaining about it. Stop complaining about it. Like, big deal. They pump. They have to. It's about ratings. But anyways, the original question: are the Sox going to go to the World Series? I don't want to say yes, but here's the one thing I take away. Even with the split, I'm not 100% sure. But the one thing I liked was actually in the Game 1 loss. None of the Red Sox carried their heads down. None of them were defeated. When they pulled Sale, when Cora went out, pulled Sale, he was pumping him up in the team around him. They didn't let that heartbreak of a game defeat them, and they proved it in the next game. So if there's one thing I'll give my Sox the edge is that they're peaking with their attitude at the right time. When the Nationals won the World Series a couple years ago, I love that whole high five, go down, pretend to drive the car at the end of the dugout. That whole cart thing that the Red Sox have. They're not dragging their heads. They're finding a way to love one another on that field and being pumped, even if the game might get away from them. So I'm not saying they're going to the World Series, but I love what they're doing. I love how they're gelling. They're doing it at the right time. Astros are just not pushovers. I'm sorry.
Prior to the playoffs starting, as much as I wanted to throw up in my mouth, I picked the Houston Astros to go to the World Series, and I'm staying on it. I like the Red Sox. I like what they're doing, and
Good.
Do I hope I'm wrong.
Good. Jinx them.
Do I hope I'm wrong.
Jinx the Astros.
That's part of the reason why I picked them, was because I was hoping I jinxed them. But I just think that I just, for whatever reason, they just seem to find a way. And that's the way that they were in the series against the White Sox. That's the way they were in Game 1 of the series against the Red Sox. The way they don't strike out, man, they make a lot of contact. I mean, it's a lot. It's also easier to not strike out when you know what pitch is coming. So I guess there's that. But I mean, they don't strike out a lot. They make a lot of contact, and they are just that team that is just scrappy and never seems to go away. So I have the Astros in the World Series prior to the playoffs, so I'm gonna stick with it. National League side of things, Game 1 was epic.
It was.
That Braves Dodgers game was so much fun. This one's
turned out to be good. Top of the 6, 2-2. It's looking good.
Game 2 is not disappointing. I think this is going to be a war. I think that this is a 7-game series. I think that the ALCS is also a 7-game series. I think we've got 4 really good teams left.
This is a good Final Four.
Yeah, it really was. It's not the Final Four that I wanted, but it's
too bad, by the way, that we didn't see a team like either the Brewers or the Rays get in, who do so much right to be able to get to where they got to, and then they fell to just better gel teams at the right time. But at the same time, in terms of the game of baseball and what baseball needs, whether it's loving the teams or hating the teams, these 4 teams are what, outside of maybe the Yankees, these are the 4 teams that baseball needed in the Final Four.
Yeah. And look, I know I'm about to head to Milwaukee for work for the next 3 days, and I know all of them were, hoping to see the Brewers. Actually, Liz chimes in here, says, I was just about to say it's missing the Brewers. Look, I did not want to see the Brewers in the Final Four, obviously, as a Cubs fan. I can't stand... It's not even the Brewers. It's not even the Brewers fans. It's Craig Counsell. Craig Counsell's face makes me want to kick puppies. Like, I can't stand Craig Counsell. Watching him walk back and forth in the dugout, like, I seriously just want to punch him in the throat every time they show his stupid face on camera. But, that being said, I think that I think, to me, the ideal Final Four was the White Sox, the Red Sox, the Braves and probably the Brewers. I
No,
think that probably would have.
I know you love the White Sox, but the White Sox, they're young, they're talented. We talked about it last year. We both said that this year they'd go far. You were hoping they got a little bit ahead of the game.
White Sox would have been fun to watch, though.
It would have been fun to watch, but you can't even talk, Combs. You can't even talk about the Astros without making some comment about the camera or a buzzer or something. They are loved. Not only do people hate them, but they love to be hated. That's why I said unless they meet the Sox in the ALCS, which when I said that earlier in the season, even when the Sox win the AL East, I was like, I don't see it. I said I'd be rooting for the Astros. Why? Because some people just like to watch the world burn. And so you've got people hating them. You got people saying, I want sheer chaos.
That's
put the
what
Astros
I want.
through. And so you've got a great fan base in Boston. It could have been either the Red Sox or the Yankees versus the Astros. And then the Dodgers are the same way. The Dodgers are that big NL team, but people also like to hate them. FTD is a big thing that goes on Sports Soup all the time. FTD. And then the Braves are just a fantastic fan base. The only fan base that may have shown up more than the Braves fan base that snuck in, I'm going to say it, is the St. Louis Cardinals. They're the only fan base I think that could have even shown up even better with it. But, God, this is 4 fantastic friggin' last teams.
It is. It is. It's going to be fun to watch. It really is. I picked Braves Astros before the playoffs started. I'm sticking with it. I think the Braves can pull this out. I know the Dodgers are very good. I know they're about to have 3 games in LA.
You didn't pick Braves Astros. Bull crap.
I swear to God I did.
You picked Braves Angels.
No. Before the season started, I picked Braves Angels. Before the playoffs started,
okay.
I picked Braves.
I was gonna say no. I was like, no. I'm not letting you off this Angels thing.
No.
And by the way, thanks for using my pick of the Braves last year and saying they would go to the World Series then this year. And taking credit before I was on the air. I appreciate you.
Yeah. I had the Braves and Padres before the season in the NLCS, though, so that didn't work out too well.
That Padres, what an implosion. What an implosion. But it just shows that even a team that was never very good, just spending a ton of money doesn't automatically mean success. You got to do more.
So let me ask you a question. As a Red Sox fan, if the Red Sox go to the World Series, if they find a way to beat the Astros, who do you feel they match up better with?
Match up better with?
Yeah.
Like I said, both of these NL teams, the Braves and Dodgers, they just have some damn good pitching. But if I'm going to go with a team that they match up better with, I'm actually going to say the Dodgers just because Scherzer is solid and he's just having a phenomenal postseason. But we saw it in this game. One bad pitch, he hangs a ball. And I mean, even in that game 5, he got the check swing, but he was still semi-struggling. After that, I just really think the way the Red Sox are hitting right now, they're going to beat up on the rest of that pitching staff more than I think they can beat up on the Atlanta Braves pitching staff. That's just me because people forget when I always say his name wrong, but when Acuna went down earlier this year for the Braves, everyone's like, that's it. The season's done.
Yeah,
and their pitching staff and then their pitching staff was like, want to bet? Yeah. We'll do this. Then they picked them up on their shoulders, which you want a pitching staff to do. And they literally did. It almost blows me away. If they had done it this last year, then they might have they might have actually gone. And now they're showing because Acuna went down. They were like, okay, it's up to us. It's what the Browns defense need to do if Baker goes down. They have to say it's up to us. And that's what this Brave pitching staff is doing. I would rather see the Dodgers as a Sox fan in the World Series.
Yeah, that's tough, man. To see Buehler, Scherzer, Kershaw I know Kershaw's not Kershaw when it comes to big games, but that's a big 3. And I don't know. I think I'd much rather see that Braves pitching staff than the Dodgers pitching staff. However, I like that Braves offense, man. They just don't quit. Same with the Dodgers, though. I think personally, I think that the winner of the Braves and Dodgers is going to win the World Series ultimately. As Javier chimes in here, thank you, Javier. Sends a super sticker for $1.99.
There you go, Javier. Throw a like on there while you're at it, but thank you, boy.
And then Yeah, so I just look.
Thanks.
I think that the Braves, are they're just a tough team. I'd much rather. I think that they haven't been there before too. That's the other thing that they don't have that the Dodgers have.
One thing that neither NL team is going to have an experience that I think is going to trip them up a little bit. And I'm sorry, people are going to think I'm using it as an excuse, but I'm not. Is that both Houston and Boston have unique stadiums that aren't built on a basic baseball structure stadium like both the Braves and the Dodgers do. Those games in either Boston or Houston have the scenario where the players on both those two teams on the AL side, depending on how it goes through, they know how to play the bounces, the corners. Yeah. You could see it go into a game 7 and coming down to something crazy that happens in a game where the Dodgers or Braves should have won it, but they lose it because in trying to track a fly ball off the green monster and it goes towards center field, or in Houston, it rattles off the flagpole in center field, which is still one of the dumbest things in my opinion. But they're weird fields. I love them because they're weird, but that's the only thing too, though, is that the NL teams don't have really experience doing that type of stuff in any type of crazy field.
That's true. I think both of those teams, though, would thrive in those American League fields. I mean, Houston's a glorified wiffle ball stadium, and I mean Boston with the monster and the short porch in right field. I really think would play to the. Can you imagine Freddie Freeman hitting in Fenway?
Freddie Freeman, you want to know who I actually want to see up there to throw in maybe in a pinch hit or something like that? How about Albert Pujols going up against that green monster?
Yeah.
just even though he's old, just that little like almost Mark McGwire stance he has, and just getting like some half-assed curveball put right in the mid-low section, and just how far over the highway on the other side of the green monster would he hit that?
I'd like to see Pujols or somebody out there freaking hit that ball in Houston and knock out that freaking train driver. That would be amazing. But we've come to the end of the show. Soup Boss Man, it's been a fun Sunday. Why don't you go ahead and send us out? Just kidding, Soup. That is my job. This is Man Hour, Soup. Get out of here. Man Hour Nation, rise up.